All right. We're going to talk about CronCat. And does anyone know? Everyone's maybe know like. Do you have any questions? Right off the bat, like how does it work? All this kind of stuff. Workshop. I also here's the details of how this works. I think in like 10 years, blockchain is going to have something like this. So it's going to be like sort of a free form kind of thing. Kind like not have it be, too like back, but like I want to give time for questions. Because right now, basically we're all like locked and tied, handcuffed to our like wallets. There also you got always be like certain things are like actually a huge pain, but for instance, payroll. So we had a small team and I was doing payroll for a DAO, and you got to like ask human beings to all sort of like both at the same time doing payroll. That is like a human coordination problem. What you can do with CronCat is you can actually like automate things like that. You can say these 6 people need to get paid every Friday this certain amount, and then like just go. So I can explain exactly how it works. I can use it. So actually, we built a NFT version out here, and this is actually my co-founder Trevor. They like all that work. He's like an amazing beast, and that version was really great, really tested the idea that we came up with. But then we rewrote the whole thing with AwesomWasm, knowing that a bunch of chains are launching, and it's extremely exciting to know those launching too, because we'll get into how subscription, it's an automation, and work is going to be like very groundbreaking. For the AwesomWasm version specifically, we actually have in this than that for blockchain, which is like ridiculously amazing. We didn't even like promise until like January. One of our devs figured out that they could actually do this. We can say, if this one piece of state changes, now you're able to like send off this transaction. It's almost like a man's intent. So it's pretty amazing to maintain this. So yes, we've been only issues. Okay, so I'm gonna explain CronCat partly first. So here is our cat. Our cat is like signing the transaction. Call contract A signed by. So it happens to be the contract A in its operation as doing its duties is doing a cross contract call to contract B. And cross contract call is kind of like the more general term. In AwesomWasm, you always say like sub messages. So let's pretend this is the flow. When you call contract A, it's supposed to call contract B. Now this is again like a dumb example, but let's just like for the sake of like understanding, let's pretend that the cat says, no, I don't want you to call B. Okay. Then contract A is very sad because it's like, well, my purpose in life is to call contract B. Like that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's real sad contract A is thinking, okay, well then I guess the only way I can do this is to like say what I'm gonna do, and then maybe like do it later. Maybe I'll send it when I'm allowed. Right. So you can think of it almost like an intercept contract call C, and then later on when conditions are met, then you're like blasting that. Okay.
This really helps feature that done.
Let's take a step back. I think a lot of developers make cron, so like cron job like that there, like stuff like if you want, I say, if you want like to know for plugins need to be updated, you will see a little dashboard saying like yes, update your version of WordPress. And like they notice that because everyone that the server doesn't use the script not right. Not algorithms in the bossy thing. It's like it looks so scary, but it's just like at this minute, this hour, this day, this right, it kind of like has a pattern, which we actually talked about. It's in there today. Say, I want to CronCat has every Friday, every 2 Fridays. Every 2 Fridays, every 12 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, blockchains do not have work in and this just makes a lot of sense because like blockchains are just like inert and free. It just sits there. And if someone lobs in a transaction, all of a sudden it's like then the domino started rolling. And so there's no real way to do this. Yet. So there's 3 different approaches we can use here. The first one is using Cosmos SDK, it's not like build level stuff. You get begin blocker, end blocker. I specifically don't think this is a good route for doing Cosmos or doing the podcast. So we didn't do it this way. Something came out in the past few months with Stargate's cron module. And so, I'm just going to be honest and like, this is something that you may want to like look into if you actually really want something to have a every single block. So it's another option. The third option is what we do. AwesomWasm language. I think this actually makes a lot of sense. And like a small example, like I was helping with some validators for a friend, and osmosis validator, like always running out of memory and having problems because of actually like chain logic that happens every epoch, and it would just blow up our system restriction. And I'm very hesitant to just start telling validators to do all this business logic. I think validators should just probably just validate. And so that's why we actually abstract it this way. And there's off-chain things that okay, now it's like sparks like ideas of like what these are fairly simple ideas, I think, and more advanced things. Modern seems not very bad, but not very like simple. So auto closing options. Like I wanted an option in a T or something, and I say I want to close in 6 days and 1 hour. Right? Then you schedule a task and say, all right, now all this contract, like fulfill this auction at that exact time, right? It's a very reasonable, automatic waffle. Same sort of thing. Hey, people are delegating this thing. Once a month, delegators do some of them. Noise network would be. Web3 games, meaning we start a game, so we can have people start like playing the game, and the game ends in 10 minutes. Actually, now gamers subscriptions. This is like an open problem. Like anyone here can name a company that uses CronCat that does like Patreon. Easy. So, and I'm too burned out to build this. So, if someone wants to build this, it's like shoo-in. And as soon as Noble comes and USDC comes, you can literally build Patreon and press this name. Dollar cost averaging, basically anything with DeFi. The caveat here is that, like, of course, if you have a CronCat task, and in 2023 right now, everything's kind of on chain, and we haven't really figured out MVP yet. So, like, that's a good point. We're sort of growing with the ecosystem as we discover like best ways to deal with it. Okay, so how the hell does this work? One task that makes it second two CronCat, you say, I want this task to happen once or and you're going to attach native tokens. Like I'm going to attach like three to my project. Every time it executes, that free Osmo gets chipped down. Okay. And you can remove the task, and you can refund it, or you can actually have this task attempt run, and if it fails, refund it. So that's the way that we call it. We really don't keep any money. Send only like take money once the actual real. So the left here, super simple diagram of CronCat tasks. On smart contract, it's a whole bunch of tasks that you can use one. It will like be a little bit of a market sports. Here, when you see blockchain agents, it will like they have to do a lot of things. These guys are they register. Say, I would like to participate in the CronCat agent network. When the time is right, I will throw in a transaction to the CronCat manager, smart contract, and the contract, of course, can't trust me all the different as well. Is this like that we call it? Then we see we have to listen. Yes, but it goes like the contract calls. Yeah, basically so this is the all it is looking for decentralized. They cannot set anything up. All they can do is like maybe a lot of money. Like let's feel it. So yes, that's really clear. Like when we're giving a task, then we're just like the task is going out. Right now, currently, we're figuring out, what's making money. And this is a startup because, we want to do about money to that. And right now, we're getting like 10 cents per task. And we will see how that goes after 6 months and see how that goes. Yeah, agents, not agents, if you're here and it's the awesome. And if you want to run an agent, I'm going to have their own being a security aspect of security. That's an amazing job. And one of the things they recommend do is at the beginning to sort of have
You don't get
agents on like
that's X11. Doesn't mean
bonus, right? So
Give us
very nice. So that's what we're doing. It's
Yeah, I know.
so you can run this agent daemon,
Been working great.
Rust daemon, run on your Raspberry Pi, and all it's doing is just like every single block. And it's when you get assigned to do something, it will tell you. And then the daemon will automatically log in transaction, and then you get paid out in that's 4 cents. Very important. So we really didn't want there to be like 500 tasks and 1 million agents. So example, to make sure that like there's enough tasks for more agents to make sense. So when you first register to be an agent, you're going to be in a dependent queue, and then you don't have to worry about any of this. Once you're able to run the students automatically, it will say, "Hey, am I allowed in? Hey, am I allowed in?" And you can eventually get a response when there's enough tasks. Say, "Yes, now you're in an active queue." And being in an active queue means you are on the button. Like, you have to kind of like make sure your pilot isn't going Raspberry Pi if you unplugged by your cat or something.
Yeah, like stick.
And if you are, it does get unplugged by your cat, then we recognize that and we will remove the agents who like, kind of are fulfilling the responsibility. And yes, there's a ratio of tasks. This is built into our work fit. So if we find that like actually this doesn't make that much sense and everyone should be an active agent, that's also possible. This is extremely important, and I have like those kind of buttons to move like really image storages. So I want to like camp on this for a second. Agents, right?
Hasn't been mentioned in the
They don't say, "Hey, what tasks do I have to do?" Oh, we need to like actually execute Marco's task or something like that.
They don't do
Not at all. They took a big detour, right? And all because we turned in, the agent says, anything for you to do. Again, there's 6. So much 6 tasks for you to do. You have no idea like what they are. Okay. And then the 6 transactions or one transaction with gas. And then it doesn't know executing is
There's no
but
Yeah.
totally impressive. It's very, very that's awesome.
Everything you learn.
Another important thing, like, you guys haven't explained that well, the documentation, or just seeing people understand, we fund you all the time. So like, if it's a task, we all the things done. And I've seen this happen where you may say, send like 0.7 tokens to this person, and I'm gonna give you all 5 tokens. Well, and some players,
You know, I'm ready for the
Ryan, let's go for it. It's not help to send, but I dollars. Where's the other?
If you're moving right now, I'm just thinking about how big like the defect.
And then there's a feature we'll get into that's called stop on failure. This means that like you can actually feel if it does the sub message in the reply, just delete task and there may be cases where you actually want to try, like what did you say? So there's studies,
But I'm not
and by the way, provide studies, make that test if it's supposed to be like test there. Intron, both of those, and we have scripts, so we can do that on like Archway and that's like 10 minutes. But anyway, back to starting. So you can say an example of where you might want to change the stop on failure. You'd be like, if you say if the floor price of a bed,
I think you are now is
then someone fell us And in that case, you might want to say, okay, I want to keep that task there.
You're verified.
I don't want to like go away. Like I expect Nathan to be. So something good is one of these. Actually, it's all in the documentation. There's the wrong sentence. One page, one anatomy of mechanics, and it goes over every single field and use to define what we want to. Let's stop. Let's take it out. Of course, our football business. It's out there. It's CronCats. Twitter is also CronCats. We use like a factory architecture, so it's like 7 different smart contracts that are all kind of like interacting with each other. One of them is one of the storage supplies, the other ones are not for instance, like they all kind of communicate independently and update these different subcontracts without there anything bad happening. And the good part about this too, is this being a factory, you have like one contract you need to know about. And then query that guy and say, give me the latest tax. That is a source of trust. Show us how agents, this is what the agent looks like. So, cargo run go, and then you chain ID and stuff. You're supposed to have like things like Catholic General for instance on try to use it. Try to use it. So it looks like this. Actually, and this is what it looks like when a bunch of agents are running. So I'm just gonna SSHing into like one of our servers that I have, and this shows like this guy's pending, this guy is active, the blocks are coming in, all this jazz. I just learned to read this like the Neo from the Matrix. It's all kind of makes sense. Everything's good. So it's like an example of one. And I said it can run on a Raspberry Pi. The reason why I'm doing it here is actually it's really important projects to have fun artists. This server also has like artists. Thanks to publisher. That makes it so easy. No. For example, I think this would be probably like difficult to read, so difficult to read that someone else show what that actually looks like. That actually maybe like are there like burning questions that right here?
Yeah, so how does CronCat deal with cost that like let's say like I want to swap that across the price. If it's F100 out in there, so it costs 50, and then for whatever reason, if authentication, like the guys cancel some I was going to return that. How's all of that?
And the question is like, how do we make sure that like if something fails, how do you? I actually like to do it like all of these, so I have like usually like 3 or 4 agents on my network, so it's not one goes out, everything's fine. Like this is kind of the way it's supposed to be. I would say that comes down to your stop on fail, like there, and really like I don't think there's something automation things out there that I'm very like Gelato and so on and actually work is on possible as well. And I don't know if anyone is as generic as CronCat. So like if you're kind of in control. So you create a task that's gonna fail, it's sort of on you and like you do a little bit of babysitting, like you create a task, you actually validate that like okay, the contract you said all exists. And like the query that you said will actually do the work. So you actually like kind of like wow, do it before you save it to state. So that should it should work. But like I will say that like it's supposed to be generic, so you can probably do stuff like spirit out like yeah, I guess it is on the website. Website that yes. Actually here, I would open this and like would that be better? All right. So let's do osmosis mainnet. We have our osmosis mainnet. Shout out to Osmosis. They helped with our security audit and really helped us. So we have read task. That's the name of the method on that tasks. Smart contract. Notice that you can have like multiple actions here. Say, okay, so this one is going to use a message, okay, send. Very simple, sending tokens to this address, some amount, and then you can see that there's other ones down here. So you can start to talk about these a little bit. The boundary right here. Boundary means like I want this thing to only start in like 2 days. Like I'm going on vacation and like this task shouldn't be valid in 2 days. Or like it's not gonna be valid until after AwesomWasm, right? So you can have a start and end time, that boundary. CW20, that's if you want to attach CW20s. Interval, this is an important one. Interval means like how often do you want this thing to happen? Kind of assumes like maybe your task is a recurring one. It doesn't have to be. So interval can be once, like one time in the future based on some state thing happening. It can be immediate, which we'll talk about more in the docs. Or you can say every one. Or you can say now it's going to be a cron job, just exactly like a normal Web2 cron job. You give like the same like star kind of thing. So there's different kind of intervals in there. Stop on fail is false. I usually do stop on fail is true because at this point most of the stuff I want to do I expect to succeed. And if it's for some reason it fails, then just like refund me. And these guys are really wild. This is what we came up with in June. This is like we were going to query something on the blockchain. And you can say like, did this return true? And you can say, okay, cool. Did this query return true? And did it return? Okay, snag that balance and then ship it into action. So we would actually ship it into amount right here, based on the value in return. I think this is insane. Like you can really have a chain reaction of CronCat tasks. It's so important. It's really mind-blowing to me. Here's what it says. We are going to query this contract address, and this is base 64, and all it is, it says like get the value of this Boolean smart contract. I think you've seen the video. I made a video about this where it's a very simple smart contract. It just stores one piece of state, a Boolean. By default, it's false, right? And it basically says like when it returns to true, now execute this bad boy. Okay, so you can have this be anything. And yeah, this is the part where you can query and it'll go. And then this is kind of optional. The transform is what I mentioned earlier. Transform is like, now grab that value and throw it into the action. And you can specify like, should it be changing the amount? Which one should it be? If there's 3 actions, I want you to take that value and throw it in the second action on the third key, all that jazz. So it'll get like really crazy with this. Okay, this is really important. So osmosis still kind of small-ish. And so we do have a website that we're working on so that everyday users can just like point and click and say, I want this to happen. This condition is met, or this NFT is transferred to me, whatever. I'll be honest, we ran out of money. And so then we're gonna have to put that on hold for a little bit. And I'm most excited about like what the developers can do with this because we have building smart contract. You can build in like CronCat tasks right into the like smart contract vault, which is like really big service. I've been talking to some DEXs who can actually use this for all kinds of stuff. So we actually have an SDK you can do so your smart contract will actually create this task on behalf of interesting example. So I was talking to Kato Thought it was like a fiat on ramp, right? They're like, I want to buy native tokens, use my credit card, blah, blah. So they're using CronCat to basically say, all right, we talked to our third party vendors who are looking at your credit card, blah, blah, blah. Funds are going to get sent to this account we created just for you. And they're using CronCat to say, okay, is the funds there yet? No? Okay, try again. Try again in 5 minutes. Is the funds there yet? Then the third time, is the funds there yet? And then if it's no, then there's a failure condition. And if it's yes, then there's a success condition and all that. So that's pretty interesting. I guess you could probably do the same thing. Like, if you're running into some of the IDC problems that Larry was talking about in his talk, you have CronCat tasks that are like, did this thing actually? Well, we have yes, we do have documentation and videos. Really basic video showing that like there's a sky and there's a day and night cycle, and CronCat is just actually toggling that, and front end is kind of responding. So it's super simple that just shows that like process automation is actually it's actually kind of readable. Maybe I'll skip here so keep switching. So this is what it looks like to create a CronCat task in your smart contract. It's pretty damn simple. It's all just one kind of like call here. So you say this is a CronCat task request. Like interval, here's my actions. These are very similar to the sort of shell script we looked at earlier. And then you just have this thing say create CronCat task some message, and then you just send that guy out. I think we realized actually with the Vectis folks, at my PM, the Vectis folks are giving a demonstration to Go using CronCat, like really around. So you actually play like with the computer. I think we realized with Ben, like. Okay, but so I need CronCat task to call someone else in Joker creates every CronCat task. They call this supposed to call my contract and then earlier. Right? Then how do I know like which one is mine? Right? So that was a very valid problem that we tackled. And the answer to that at least the docs have really. Okay, this is our CW per box. This is also in the CronCat's GitHub handle. So like my examples that I made, including that Boolean contract caller, the most simple example. This one's a little bit of a step up. So I have a fun way that I make contracts. So this is just basically like you're looking right at the code of like the method that I said, hey CronCat, please call this in the future. Please call this, but I want to make sure that like it was my task that called this, right? So essentially we want you to store the CronCat factory, like I said, so that we can always make sure that you're calling like the latest tasks contract. And then over here, there's a kind of a long function here. It says handle the incoming task parameters. And so what this means is like by default we will say, okay, if you're wanting to ensure that your own task called you, we're going to ensure that it was your task, like you were the creator of the task. We're also going to ensure that like we are on the same exact block and the same exact transaction index that CronCat just saved to state. We can actually confirm that it's the same block. So like, well, basically what we're saying is we are right in the middle of a cross-contract call from a sanctioned CronCat manager with a task that you created. Absolute like certainty. Now, of course, in the future, we're going to have like IBC happening, and so we will not be in the same block. It won't be the same transaction index. So this sort of struct here is kind of like, okay, I actually want to change this a little bit. You can say, or you can say like, I expect the owner isn't this smart contract. The owner is actually going to be like Mike. So you can actually specify like who it's going to be. Yeah, and so this example is a really simple one if you want to look at it, but basically it pretends to be some like really cheesy auctions. And so it says please call tick every day, and if there are auctions that are before the timestamp of now, then just like delete those guys. So this is how you ensure like that kind of workflow. Actually, is this okay time to any burning questions again? Absolutely, yeah, yeah. And I think you can get really creative with this, where you've got some feature requests that are sort of like, can you add this to CronCat, blah, blah, blah. And I think my answer is like, you can actually have sort of intermediary contracts. So you could say, the action, I'm going to do some queries, and then the action is to like, save this piece of state for this little teeny contract put in. If you use that way, there's kind of like unlimited possibilities to what you can kind of do here. I actually think it'd be fun to even do like on-chain indexers, almost like give me all the people who voted no with veto, all the folks who voted no with veto on this one prop. It's a long list and you have to actually iterate through it. Well, you can turn that into map if you want to. And you can have like CronCat be like, okay, there's 1,000 people there, but like you can do 100 at a time. So like keep paginating, keep saving it to some state or something. All kinds of like weird, interesting use cases can happen. And that actually bleeds into like one use case I breezed through over there was like NFTs with unlimited royalties. So I worked at Near Protocol and we had, with the NFT standard, and we realized that like there is a limit to the number of royalties you can pay out, right? You can't pay out 1,000 people because they'll just run into gas limits. So I think what you really could do is like, like if an orchestra or a symphony has like, symphonies usually have like 100 people or 80 to 100 people. I don't think you could actually have a music NFT that would pay every single person else. You have to send in a few transactions, right? So that's the kind of thing that you're now unblocked from if you just sort of chunk at it with CronCat. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. What else can I kind of cover here? I do want to show maybe some other actually hands-on stuff. This one is an example of doing successive retries. This is similar to like the Kato example, where you're like, I want to do something, and then I might want to try again in the future. And this one is particularly interesting because you create a CronCat task, you give us the tokens, and then it's actually going to send some of those tokens to the method that then sends those to create a new CronCat task. So this is a little bit wild. I like making these like crazy example just because it really like showcases exactly what's going on and like the limits or the limitlessness, I would say, that you can do. Yeah, maybe I can show more granular like how this is all working. These are quite a few. Okay, so here, like right here, this guy is pending, right? And that is for mainnet Stargaze. This server, that guy didn't make it into the active queue, and so he's waiting, but he's checking like every 10 blocks to be like, am I logged in or am I logged in? And then these guys are already in, and you can see that their blocks are going. So when Dulce is giving the presentation of the tic-tac-toe at 5, we will actually be seeing this like look much more animated. People are actually using this. Maybe I can just show the testnet website. That would be interesting. Yeah. All right. So this is really the grand vision is that like we don't want just the developers are able to use it because like I think that's really important right now when Cosmos is small, we're in the bear market, it's mostly builders, all that jazz. But really like the idea is that people can make recipes. Like someone can actually figure out the JSON to a CronCat task that like is not only useful to them, but like dozens or hundreds of people. Some deep thing, right? So what the goal is to create like this recipe marketplace where you can say, okay, cool. You made a really cool recipe, you put a little bit of time into it, you can submit it to this like marketplace. And every single time that a person says, oh yeah, I'd like to use that, it's the same model as if you were to buy an app from the App Store. Like, purchase it once and you use it forever. And that person who creates this recipe, CronCat task recipe, they get royalties. So we really think that this would be a good way of like once kind of things pick up in the markets to really like help people understand that you can do this for yourself. You can also like, make a little point in doing it. Got this interface. So this is the one where, my co-founder is incredible at this stuff, just real unicorn. There's no way I can really do such an amazing job here. Unfortunately, like this is not going to be complete quite yet. So here's different recipes. So token multi-sender, this is just like, hey, I want to create a task. It's almost like a payroll kind of thing. I want to send tokens to multiple people. It's the if this then that logic. So here's what we got. I've already been signed in with my Juno account. You can attach funds if you want. You can add different kind of logic. So actually go through this slowly. Get the balance of an account. Do balance comparison. DAO proposal matches. Yes, this is quite interesting. So a lot of things can happen in DAO actually. Like if everyone passes a proposal, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but like the proposal status is like passed. But you need to actually execute it, right? Or someone needs to execute it. And so this is a good way to have CronCat do that. We've been talking with Atlas DAO, and they want to do treasury management basically with CronCat, where it's like the DAO is actually staking a bunch of funds from the DAO members, and CronCat can actually like claim rewards, and whoever's still in the DAO at that time, divvy those out. That's a really interesting use case with DAOs as well. Another option is if NFT is owned by a certain person. This is like you want some action to trigger. If NFT like moves over to an individual, like let's say we actually finally do NFT ticketing, which would be great. Hey, if like my friend gets an NFT thing, then like do this thing on my behalf. Does this address have an NFT? And then the really blanket statements of like really you can do whatever you want in terms of like do a custom WASM query, custom contract query, custom contract key. And this is kind of obviously more for developers. And here's some actions too. So send actions and WASM execute. Let's just try this out. It's kind of neat. So here you would on the UI just like enter a contract address. Let's just like have some fun with this and go to our deployed contracts. This is a very useful page. As you can see, this is the CronCat docs. This is where we keep all of our factory addresses. So when you're actually creating CronCat, when you're creating a smart contract that's going to use CronCat, this is what you want to save in the state. So let's take this testnet one. Plug her in here. Yep, still wants to do Kepler. Possibly. So anyway, like I don't want to do the Kepler thing right now, but this is going to actually like look at that contract and say, okay, cool, we're actually going to figure out what the methods are and kind of fill those out for you. And so this is like sort of like halfway between like pure developer and non-developer is you can actually put JSON in this guy and build that out. Then when you click next, it will actually like calculate the gas fees for you, and then create the content task. Yeah, I think that just about covers it. That was kind of like a rapid go through. Happy to kind of answer any questions. Yeah, or if people want to do integrations, that sounds really great. There's a lot of blockchains that we're targeting, and again, we have like a script that, especially if it's permissionless, we have a script that can just throw it up in like 5 seconds. So. Sorry, Russ. David. That goes over all of this. Yep. I will say one last thing. Actually, this is like I sort of legally changed my name to like AwesomWasm on purpose because AwesomWasm is like amazing. Came out like years ago, and I saw that Noah wrote this amazing blog about it, and I was like reading it. I was like, how come we're not using that? No one's used this. So, little alpha, I guess. I showed up in Berlin like a week early. We're hanging out with a bunch of smart people, and I think we had to get collective on how insane AwesomWasm is in this sort of account abstraction. Right? Doing that. So really, like the next step for CronCat is like CronCat is supposed to be this like machine, right? Like if I die, CronCat just lives on. Other people can set up agents, you know, like it's not like I have to like be. It's not custodial at all. It's just like this cooperative machine. As long as one person wants to execute a task in the future, one person wants to run an agent to help execute that, it just works. And we can just like step away, move on. So we had this amazing epiphany a couple days ago. Really, like for CronCat to be fulfilled what it's best at, it should just be this thing that like throws transactions where it's supposed to throw transactions. Now, the first question that maybe came to your mind when you considered all this, like, okay, well, what if I want to do some task? But then if CronCat is like sending the transaction, then the input on sender is CronCat, right? It's not me. That's kind of a problem because then that limits the kind of things you may want to do. So the real sauce, the real money, is that like each person can have their own teeny little smart contract. So it's like, and I will definitely be doing this during days, like wind decks on June. I have a bunch of wind. I love the team, all that kind of stuff. I'm sick of claiming and restaking. I can actually create a teeny little smart contract and give it permission to call wind, and only the methods claim and restake. Okay? Then that contract is just like kind of sitting there. I can say, hey, whenever CronCat calls you, do what's called an AwesomWasm execute. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this. AwesomWasm execute, and in that moment, that contract is me. Right? So now we have like this automation machine, sort of like throwing transactions at contracts that like act exactly like you. Right? This is the money. This is where you don't have to stay until 3 a.m. to wait for that NFT mint. You can actually just like have CronCat call your contract that then does that. Right? So I know like I don't want to go too far afield, but like you can see the picture in your head. I think this is like where everything's got to be going. So account abstraction with CronCat or like feature automation and all that. So I hope everyone can see that. It's pretty amazing. If you didn't know, so AwesomWasm started out on like the Cosmos SDK layer, and that's where kind of the core of it is. But then in November, Confio merged in some code that extends the AwesomWasm authorization interface to say, hey, this is only for that contract and these methods, or if you want, for that contract and this exact message, right? I could have like a private key that leads to an account, and all it can do is delegate one atom on my account. And if someone just discovers that seed phrase, oh, good luck, dude. Literally, all you can do is like delegate my atom to myself. And that's really powerful because then we get to the situation where we have teams that are like really like they can be insecure. They can be on a Raspberry Pi, and maybe one of your roommates like snatches it and grabs a seed phrase. Who cares, right? So this is actually like the really the feature that we need to be thinking about. Hopefully, CronCat and a few other people at this conference can really like lead the way. So like everyone understanding that like your seed phrase shouldn't be your account anymore. Like we should all have smart contract wallets, like many different ones. In addition to that, you can even have it even more granular. Where you can say this contract acts on my behalf. This target contract with these methods, it's only allowed to call it 6 hours, or it's only allowed to like spend this much funds. So there's like really granular permission system you can do with them. And that's fine to do. Frankly, I would say it's being reported that everyone start watching out for scammers because everyone. I mean, if you're like just clicking approve all the time, someone can actually have like bad Odyssey stuff. So I think this is the time to kind of like revitalize the Odyssey time, not just for CronCat, not just for kind of abstraction, but for security and everything. So, you guys close to end? Where do we go? We have questions. Yes, we do have Discord, and cron.cat is our website. I didn't know cat was a TLD until long time, but my co-founder got it. Amazing. Cron.cat is a website. Very bottom, we got a Discord, and we're very happy to have like special little channels in there. We have special channels for a few different folks who are hardcore integrating, and I love talking about this stuff. So I'm Mike.exe on Twitter, and like feel free to DM me. Oh yeah, one last thing I will say. This has been a death march. This idea we came up with like in October, like over 2 years ago. And everything's kind of been on pause in my life. So I owe my fiance a wedding. And so like I don't think I'm gonna go full sabbatical like what Ethan Fry is doing, but I'm gonna be taking it a little bit easy because I've been neglecting like relationships and stuff like that. So definitely available. I'm super stoked. But I've been taking the time to like plan a wedding, get married, all that kind of stuff. So and I hope everyone else does the same as well. We'd be really refreshed when the bull market last thing I want to do, when that happens. Wait. Awesome. Good job.